Thanks for joining us for the news at 10. After several weeks of debate, the Legislative Budget Writing Committee voted earlier to approve millions of dollars of federal funding for Idaho's childcare industry. Until today, childcare providers were not sure that they would see American Rescue Plan money in their bank accounts.
And they still aren't completely sure.
Right.
Just because the Joint Finance Appropriations Committee signed off on accepting this money, it doesn't mean it's a completely done deal. Abby Davis talked to a senator about what delayed their decision.
Yeah, well, Morgan and Brian, Idaho has gotten more than $100 million in federal money to keep the child care industry afloat during the pandemic. Now, that money is distributed through various channels, but legislators are wondering whether the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare used some of that money correctly. Senator Scott Grow says that led to hesitancy around approving this last batch of federal money for child care wage increases and building costs. Keeping the doors open at TLC for Tots.
It's been really difficult.
Has been a struggle for Director Crystal McFarland.
The average our teachers make here is $12.63 an hour. You can go anywhere else down the street and make significantly more, doing a lot less stressful work.
While many teachers left during the pandemic, McFarland says some of them stayed, partly thanks to federal American Rescue Plan Act money.
And that's an additional $300 a month that goes to staff members.
TLC for Tots, like 700 other child care businesses around Idaho, also get upwards of $20,000 every month.
And a lot of that was to make sure we could keep our doors open no matter how many kids were in and out.
That federal money is supposed to run out in June. But for the past month, McFarland and other child care providers worried the Joint Finance Appropriations Committee would end it sooner.
And we had no idea what we were going to do.
Because JFAC wouldn't decide what to do with $43 million of ARPA money. But on Tuesday, the committee did approve $28 million.
In the interim, the Department of Health and Welfare had continued making distributions for that child care on the same ratio or same pattern that they had been doing. So then the funds were down to $28 million at this time.
Many people in the child care industry weren't happy with JFAC's delayed decision. But Grow says JFAC members were concerned some other federal funding for child care wasn't used correctly. $14 million to be exact, which was approved by last year's legislature.
Some of these grants that were distributed were for children under the age of 5, down to 0. For federal purposes, that was okay, but for state law, our law specifically said that it was only for ages 5 up to 13. And so that's what put the hold on things.
Now, Grow says the Idaho Department of Labor will distribute the $28 million instead of the Department of Health and Welfare, if the House and Senate agree.
We didn't want legislators to be concerned that we were giving money back to health and welfare to the same folks that had some ineligible distributions.
While nothing's set in stone yet, McFarland says she's hopeful they'll see the remaining money in their bank accounts.
I am hoping that they can make the decision and really speak loudly and show Idaho families that they are supporting them. Grow says he hopes the Senate and House also approve the money quickly, maybe even this week. While people in the child care industry are grateful JFAC approved this money, there was still a lot of federal money left on the table since JFAC denied $36 million in February.
Okay, so this money's going to last to June if it gets approved. What happens after that?
Well, McFarland says that they have been preparing for this. They knew that money was going to run out. They've actually already been increasing prices for their families that they have at the child care center. But it's looking like they'll have to continue doing that just to keep up with inflation and other rising costs.
On top of how expensive childcare already is.
Keeps going up.
Across the country. All right, Abby, thank you.